Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is January 30th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery, and you can see this big mid-latitude cyclone just now spinning up. This thing is starting to look good on the satellite imagery here, and it's going to look even better probably here in a few hours as this thing just totally cinnamon buns here off the coastal areas. And this is what's going to be powering our frontal system across the state of California as we go on in towards the next couple of days. And we're going to do a live stream tonight as well, because I want to capture this thing right. It's coming on the coastline here and kind of keep everybody prepared and up to date with the latest information. And then if you look back here across the Pacific off to the northwest of the Hawaiian Islands, that is the next storm system out there, and that one has trouble written all over it as well, as models are showing a pretty powerful low pressure center again moving right in towards the Bay Area, somewhere in that vicinity, and bringing atmospheric river potential into areas, especially Southern California. So we're going to dive into some of those details here as we go through the video this morning. Here we go with the high winds. This is going to start up tonight, and look at some of these gusts across the higher terrain in excess of 75 miles per hour. So their high winds are incoming here, and you can see the coastal areas are going to be impacted. And this is going to move down much of the coastline over the next couple of days, as well as that frontal system moves down towards the Bay Area and the Central Coast, and even some of Southern California and the Sierra Nevada and some of the higher terrain. Really some pretty powerful winds coming with this storm. And we've got some high wind warnings here. You can see just kind of southwest San Jose across the higher terrain, Big Sur, the higher terrain off to the east there as well. Some pretty impressive gusts there, 70 miles per hour or greater, expected between 900 and 2,500 feet. And this is from 4 a.m. to 4 a.m. Thursday, 4 a.m. Wednesday to 4 a.m. Thursday. And this is going to be associated with that frontal system. And there's wind advisories for many of the other areas as well. And some pretty impressive gusts showing up on some of the high resolution models. You can get some gusts up towards 50 miles per hour, even for some of the interior areas and some of the coastal regions as well. And taking a look at the rainfall forecast, the further north you go here across some of the North Bay, you can see Cloverdale 4 to 6, San Francisco, just some impressive amounts that are going to come in a pretty short period of time here. And this is starting early Wednesday for the North Bay and later elsewhere as it swoops down across the state. Now, taking a look, we got flood watch out as well. This, again, 4 a.m. Wednesday. With these frontal systems that drop a lot of rain in a short period of time, some interesting areas can get flooded. You can flood some of the lower line roadways out there, some interesting urban and small stream flooding. You can flood some homes that don't normally flood, for example. So heads up for that. We do have the flood watch in effect. And this is storm number 1 precipitation forecast according to the National Weather Service Sacramento. And you can see we go a little bit further north there, 3 to 4 inches Eureka. Look at Red Bluff, 2 to 3. Even Sacramento up towards 2 inches, and some bigger amounts across the Sierra Nevada. And also there's a thunderstorm potential here as we go on into the later portion of the week as that frontal system moves through. It's going to usher in that colder air mass. Some showery weather will be with it, and those snow levels are going to crash back down. Look at this, dropping all the way towards 3,000 to 4,000 feet on Friday, and of course the timing Tuesday night through Friday, February 2nd. Yeah, looking at the wind gust forecast, a little bit wider view, you can see Sacramento. Look at Marysville there. Look at Chico gusting maybe 55. Red Bluff, some big gusts incoming, and especially across northwest California in the higher terrain. It can do some damage out there, and a possible power outages could occur. And some of the coastal regions are probably going to be gusting up over 50 miles per hour in the immediate area, vicinity of the Bay Area also. And this is the thunderstorms possible this week. This is Thursday through Friday, timing afternoon through evening. Lightning, small hail, gusty winds, and some heavy rain with that activity. And in the meantime, we're still dealing with this near record warmth here. This is for today. Look at this, Fresno, Bakersfield, getting close to some of the record highs. Merced forecast to break it here. Today was 71. You can see Hanford and Madero out there as well. So yeah, in the meantime, still some nice weather to be had here across the area before we bring in this pattern change. And we've got winter storm watch here. And if we look here, this is from 11 p.m. Wednesday to 4 p.m. Friday. You can see snowfall 1 to 2 feet from 5 to 6,000, 2 to 3 from 6 to 7, and 3 to 4 feet above 7,000 feet here. So pretty impressive storm system. And then potentially more to come through the extended. Here's looking down towards Los Angeles. Check it out. Look at this, 1.5 to 3 inches, 3 to 5, mainly the mountains and hills. There's thunderstorm potential with this also, and some gusts of 50 miles per hour, probably even higher for some of the mountainous areas. And there's going to be some pretty gusty winds all the way down towards San Diego as well. And I'll look at that in the high resolution models. But you can see some mountain snow, 1 to 4 down to 5,000, and some even bigger amounts above 7,000. Significant mountain travel delays are likely. And then that next system starts to loom. This is San Diego National Weather Service talking about the unsettled weather here and also the potential for some snow for the higher terrain of Southern California. Here's the winter storm watch for the Sierra Nevada. This is Reno National Weather Service, probably moderate, probably major impacts at times. I mean, this can be very difficult travel out there. So you might want to put your travel off if you can, probably to some point on Friday, or do it, do it today or tomorrow before that frontal system starts rolling in here. Thursday and Friday, watch out because you're going to be building some snow across the higher terrain. This is looking at Las Vegas National Weather Service. You can clearly see the crash in temperatures coming. All the National Weather Service offices are in on that now. Look at Phoenix going from 80 down to the lower 60s with some rainfall coming as we go towards the end of the week. Now, looking at the day 2 excessive rainfall outlook, you can see they've upgraded the slide all the way from southwest Oregon across some of the valley areas, the Bay Area down the central coast. And if we look at the following day as well, it's extended down across Santa Barbara, Los Angeles Metro, and now includes the San Diego metro area. And yeah, it's going to be interesting here, folks. This is the risk for some flash flooding conditions in any one of these areas. Now, looking at the 24-hour 2-meter temperature change, this is the initial, as the frontal system comes down, you can see the big drop in some of this temperatures up towards 20-degree difference in a 24-hour period. And here we go on in a little bit further. This is between Wednesday afternoon and Thursday afternoon. You can clearly see the much cooler air mass coming, and this would be on in through Thursday to Friday. Changes here across some Arizona, Nevada, and Utah also. Now, this is looking at the upper levels of the atmosphere here. So this is about 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. You can see Washington, California. Here's the Hawaiian Islands to the left. And if we put this into motion, you'll notice that mid-latitude cyclone that we saw on the infrared satellite imagery here at the beginning of the video. And that's what's going to be ushering in that cold air mass, powerful frontal system, strong winds, big waves, a lot of precipitation, snow in the mountains. And then the next system looms back here. And you can see it's probably going to have a subtropical tap with it as well. Could be a power-packed low-pressure system with some strong winds also, some increased wave activity. And the big danger from this one here is if you get any kind of training, and I mean the frontal system kind of hanging out over any given area, anywhere from the Bay Area down through Southern California, can really cause some high-end flooding if it does so, or if that atmospheric river moves off to the east and then bounces back to the west and hits the same area it was just over. We could really be looking at some interesting weather coming up here as we go through the early portion of next week. And actually, I mean, we'll be seeing the storm out here as we go through Saturday morning, and you'll clearly see it start to move in here as we go through the end of the weekend on in through next week. Now, looking at the composite reflectivity, so I want to continue to look at this frontal system as it comes in. This is the high-resolution model, and just kind of showing you when the impacts are going to be starting here as we go through Tuesday night. Some of this rain is going to be clipping Northern California, and then the bulk of that frontal system will be rolling through Wednesday morning. Look at some of these segments, some very heavy rain and gusty winds associated, moving across Northern California, making its way towards the Bay Area as well, then down towards Central California, and then eventually this will move down across Southern California also. So this is looking 48 hours out, and that's as far as the high-resolution model goes. But some very intense rainfall, some very gusty winds to be had with this frontal system. And this is looking at total precipitation, the same model here, and zoomed in a little bit. And look at some of these individual bands of precip moving all the way down across Southern California. So yeah, there is going to be some flooding potential with that. And then on top of that, that next system here will be riding up over that the same areas here, especially across Southern California, that got this rainfall from the initial frontal system. Now, looking at the NAM 3 cam, this is accumulated max 10-meter wind gusts. So as we go through the day today, you'll notice these winds really start to pick up here as we go through this evening and tonight across the Northern California areas. And then that frontal system will be swooping down as we go through the day. Wednesday, look at some of these gusts right along the immediate coastline here. 54 right near San Francisco there, and some pretty big gusts all the way down the coast. I mean, even look at inland here. You're talking about Sacramento potentially gusting up over 45 miles per hour up the I-5 corridor, the Sierra Nevada and Northern California mountains as well. And then some gusty winds all the way down towards Southern California. Look at that, some gusts up towards 50 right near San Diego and North Island out there as well. So interesting stuff, potent frontal system. And also helping to enhance that frontal system will be this above average sea surface temperature, this warmer water off the coastline here, kind of as that lower level lapse rate can cause some additional thunderstorm activity here and some heavy bands of precipitation, locally intensifying some of that rainfall. And this is significant wave height and direction. So as that frontal system approaches, you can see it's going to spread increased wave activity all the way down through Southern California as we go on in through Thursday and Friday. And then if we scroll out into the future a little bit more, you can see that next system kicking up the waves again. So yeah, pretty stormy pattern here coming up over the next few days. Now looking at the European, this is the latest of the 06Z run. This started last night here, but you can see the big low pressure center here off the coastline. That's going to look glorious on the infrared satellite imagery, and it's casting our powerful frontal system through. But our eyes are turning to this next system out here as well in the extended. As you can see, the models are in pretty good agreement with bringing a very robust low pressure system into the Bay Area and bringing that heavy rain across much of the state. We could get some mountain snows, maybe even heavy at times, depending on how this low pressure center comes in. Really on the north side is going to be kind of favored there as well. And again, some very big flooding potential here across Southern California. Checking out the Canadian model on the left versus the GFS, the American model on the right. These are both hot off the presses. 12Z, the latest. Here goes the frontal system. Talking about that in extreme detail, and then we look at this kind of weak low and this trough hanging off the coastline here is going to help bring this up and wrap this low up. And look at the GFS. I mean, that's a 983 millibar low right there with a very power-packed pressure gradient. That would be some damaging winds up and down the coastline, even across Southern California up towards the Bay Area. The Canadian not quite as strong, but still very damaging here with some of the flooding that would take place, especially if you get training again over some of the same areas as that system comes through. So the best we can hope for is kind of a progressive frontal system. You know, you don't want these bands of this extremely heavy precipitation hanging up over any given area for an extended period of time, as that's when you start talking about high-end flooding. Looking at the GFS, this is 80-meter wind speed. Here's that system out there currently. Just kind of a nice visual representation of what's going on just off the surface there with the winds. Strong frontal system there. Moves up into the Pacific Northwest, and then you can see the development of the next storm here as we go through Friday night, and then on to Saturday here with that just spinning up and bringing additional strong winds and heavy rainfall. So I always like to give these visual diagrams here. As you can see, that cold air spreading all the way down across the Pacific Ocean here as that system kind of pushes through. So interesting stuff there. This is looking off in something different. I changed it up a little bit today. This is gusts between 25 and 75 miles per hour. And this right here is a system off the coastline. Of course, you got California there. So you're looking at the European and all 50 of its ensemble members. So there's 50 of these little squiggly lines out here. And if I put that into motion, you can really see some of that wind potential there across Northern California and Southern Oregon, potentially exceeding 75 miles per hour, especially for the higher terrain. Some of the coastal areas, maybe even getting some gusts plus 60 plus, 70 plus. And then you can see that frontal system drop down the coastline and bringing its big winds with it as well. And then we look off into the future a bit more with that next system here. You can see some of those bigger winds mixing in here as it approaches the coastline with that next storm system. But you can kind of see why they call it a spaghetti chart, because those noodles are all over the place. And that's what happens when you start to look off into the extended forecast here. Things become a lot more murky in the forecast when we're looking off into the crystal ball there. Looking at Sacramento International Airport, this is that frontal system incoming here. Some gusts up over 40, 45 miles per hour. The European, I've noticed, has been underdoing some of these gusts in these ensemble members here so far this year, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some gusts in some of the valley areas up over 50 miles per hour, even into the low 50s. This is San Francisco. Look at that, 48. Some of the ensembles are up over 50. There's even a couple over 60 when I checked earlier. But then you can also see that looming off in the extended here with that next system, kind of that mixed bag on just where that low pressure center is going to come in. Look at Los Angeles. So here goes the initial system. Pretty good ensemble mean and a deterministic agreement there. 1.6 inches in a 24-hour period with some potential for higher. And then that next system out here, just kind of still a little bit all over the place. But look at some of these really hefty amounts showing up in some of these ensemble members. Santa Barbara, something similar there as well. You can clearly see this frontal system is going to hit hard. And then this one, you could be looking at some significant flooding here if that were to verify. This is looking at Mount Shasta here, just kind of showing you that we're dealing with some warm temperatures out there. You don't need me to tell you that. And then that sharp drop here as that frontal system drops down. Much cooler air mass is going to take its place. This is looking at 10-day precipitation anomaly, and you can see the European ensemble control run here. This is basically the deterministic now, but you can see we are looking at well above average totals here over the next 10 days. Truckee, Tahoe, big crash there coming to the temperatures. Big Bear all the way down through Southern County. We got snowfall potential here as we go as well. And this is looking at the total snow here. This is the national blend of models. This is hot off the presses. If I put this into motion, you'll see as we go through the day Wednesday, you start piling it on here across Northern California. And look at the Sierra Nevada. So basically Wednesday night into Thursday morning, the snow is going to be flying hot and heavy. So that's, you're going to want to avoid travel on Thursdays. You can see as we go through Thursday morning, we're still piling it up a bit there. And even on Friday, we're still going to be bringing some of the showery weather. The cooler air mass is going to be running into some of the higher terrain. So Friday is probably going to be some difficult travel conditions up across the Sierra Nevada and Northern California as well. And if you look closely there, you can kind of see that snow piling up here as you go through the day Thursday, or even across some of the Southern California mountains there as well. So yeah, Thursday and Friday, probably not good days for travel. You might want to put that off. And then that next system comes in quickly here as we go through Sunday. So I want to caution you for that as well. But hopefully we can pile up some of the snow across the higher terrain. We are running quite the deficit there, about 25% of normal across the entire Sierra Nevada so far this water year. Looking at the 6 to 10 day, no surprise here. West Coast below average. 6 to 10 day precipitation through February 8th. You guys have seen both storms there, so you understand. And again, we're right about the 24th percentile there. And I did this. Let's do the entire state actually and see. Yeah, we're probably actually a little bit lower than that. Maybe 20th percentile now. So yeah, we need the snow here. Let's build it up. And if you want a nice affordable home weather station, click on that link down below to save 10% off. It's all wireless. It's all solar powered. It's got a haptic rain gauge here, and it's got an ultrasonic anemometer, lightning detection system with it as well. Stores a lot of data for you in the cloud. Highly recommend that station. But yeah, here we go. I'm going to do a live stream tonight. We're going to talk more about this because this thing is bearing down on the state. It is definitely incoming here, and you can see the next monster out here is trying to develop, and the models are in pretty good agreement that that thing is going to bring a wallop to California as well. So hopefully, yeah, I don't know. We're going to watch that one closely here, folks, and we'll start sounding some alarms here for some significant flooding if this continues to trend like that in the models. But anyway, live stream tonight. Hope you guys can join me there. Hope to talk to you guys then, and I will see you guys later tonight.